Things are never as good as they seem. They're never as bad as they seem. So where on that spectrum are the Commanders at right now? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. The New York Giants have the best offense in football, so what does that say about the Commanders' defense? The Lions hung 50 points on the Bears. Are the Green Bay Packers just Super Bowl frontrunners? Jayden Daniels' MRI knee update, and a whole lot more. We got it all coming up on this show today, guys. So make sure that you do hit that like button if you want to support me, want to support the content, want to support the Commanders. That is the easiest way you can do it. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. There's also a hype button that is new to YouTube, and it helps. Any kind of support helps. So if you are inclined to press that, then please do that as well. And to the new viewers here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're always locked in for future content. Got daily uploads on the way, just as I have ever since I created this channel. So let's start off by talking about the one, the only Jayden Daniels. As we know, he took a lot of lumps in that game against the Packers, a Thursday night game that I thought the coaching staff should have pulled him out of halfway through the fourth quarter after the Packers went up 17 with like 6 minutes left. They left him in the game. He ended up taking some more hits. One of those left him limping a little bit towards the end of the game, and we have now learned that it is a potential knee injury. He had an MRI before he flew out of Green Bay. According to Jay Glazer, Jayden is considered day-to-day with that knee issue. He's expected to miss a day or two of practice, potentially more, and he will likely wear a brace on his knee when he returns to practice and even potentially have to wear a brace during the upcoming games, the first of those being against the Las Vegas Raiders. The team plans on giving him another evaluation today. Dan Quinn will address the media at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. So hopefully we have more updates around then. If not, then I would assume the following media session would be time for an update from DQ. Obviously, they're going to play things close to their chest. But if at the same time, if Jayden doesn't practice, we'll probably have to hear that, or I'm sure we'll get reports from some members of the media, the Nikki Jabvalas, the JP Finleys, the John Kimes. I'm sure someone's going to have a report on that. And honestly, I wouldn't consider it news if Jayden misses practice, because it seems like that is what's going to happen. The question really is, once we get towards the end of the week, is his status still questionable? Is he still not practicing? Is he a limited participant, a full participant? That's what we're going to have to be aware of. Now, the one thing I can say that's a positive here is the Commanders have a long week of rest because they played last Thursday and they don't play again until Sunday. Their opponent, the Raiders, have to travel on the road to come to DC on a short week because they are playing tonight on Monday Night Football. So from that perspective, it's a benefit for the team. But at the same time, if Jayden's not 100%, obviously lowers your ceiling. You would trust in Marcus Mariota more times than not, but he also had an injury that caused him to miss a lot of the preseason earlier on. So how effective would he be if he's shoved into the fire? A lot of questions still need to be answered, but I'm really hoping that DQ does shine some light on the situation. He engages in a lot of coach speak, and it's tough to learn from him when he talks more times than not. When I say learn, I mean learn the secrets of the team, but hopefully we get some substantial evidence there. Now, I want to talk about the defensive line here. I saw a comment under my last video, and it was basically saying with the injury to Deatrich Wise, what does that do? Does Sheldon Day get elevated? Does Javon Kinlaw kick outside? Is Jalen Holmes getting elevated? Is there a trade? Is there a signing? What's going to happen to the defensive line? And I think it's very possible that nothing happens. If you look at the Commanders' depth chart to start last season, they kept 4 defensive ends, 4 defensive tackles. Part of that was influenced by the lack of talent they had at the position, and certainly there is more of that this year, but also it does seem as if they were comfortable with that and they could coach around it. Now, with that being said, what do I think is going to happen? I think if someone is getting elevated, even though Deatrich Wise is an edge player, I don't think it's going to be Jalen Holmes that gets elevated, because honestly, I don't know how impressed anyone is with Jalen Holmes. I think undoubtedly the best defensive lineman they have on the practice squad was Sheldon Day. Sheldon Day took fairly significant reps with his defense during the season last year, and he played pretty solid. So if that does end up happening, I could see a world in which the team puts Javon Kinlaw on the end as one of those elephant ends on the early running downs, stick Johnny Newton and Eddie Goldman or Deron Payne or Sheldon Day in the middle of the line, and then you put Jacob Martin, Dorance Armstrong, Von Miller, whoever on the opposite side. And then once you get to your second, especially your third downs, that's when you see Kinlaw go back inside. You get Vaughn and Martin, or Armstrong and Martin on the edge. You get Dorance Armstrong lining up in a 3 technique with Goldman in the middle, Payne in the middle, that's when you get after the passer. I can see a situation or a world in which that's the situation where Kinlaw and even maybe Payne does spend some time on the outside, but really only on those obvious running downs, and it doesn't affect all that much on the other side of that. Now, Deatrich Wise did have a very good start to the season, and my 5 names to remember series after week 1, Deatrich Wise was the first player in the video. He was a recipient of a green square. So whoever is coming in, they are going to have to perform well. I've liked what I've seen from Dorance Armstrong. I've liked what I've seen from Jacob Martin. So I think they have the potential to do it. The question is, now that they have one less player to rotate with the frequency they did with Wise, if Jacob Martin, by the end of the game, let's say Jacob Martin was at 90% energy, if he's now at 80% because he's getting more reps, he's spending more time on the field, what effect does that have on his play and the defense's overall performance? That is where I think the biggest question is going to come from. Also, one final thing here. Jadeveon Clowney out of the running, signed with the Dallas Cowboys. It was somebody that I had said the Commanders could target as a veteran edge rusher and especially one of need now that Wise has gone out, but he will be suiting up for a division rival, so he is no longer an option. Keeping it on the defense here, according to Pro Football Focus, the Commanders have the 9th worst tackle grade in the NFL, and the head of that snake is one Frankie Luvu, who was a second-team All-Pro linebacker just last year. Now, this season, Luvu has 9 total tackles, only 1 solo tackle, and he has 5 missed tackles. Nobody on the team has more than 2. Those players, I want to say, are Percy Butler, Trey Amos, and Deron Payne. Now, Payne, you can get mad at him, but he doesn't get many attempts, and they're very clogged up. A lot of the times, it's him grabbing out with one arm. So, yeah, you don't want to see missed tackles, but I can somewhat understand it. Percy Butler, I would like to see it higher. Trey Amos, it's a corner. Corners have to tackle, but it's not their primary job. And with Amos being the best player in coverage so far, I'm not going to scrutinize him there. But Luvu, to be at the center of the defense, to be a reigning All-Pro, to be a leader of the team, and to be as thunderous and forceful as he is and important to the team identity as he is, for him to be up there is a massive concern. Last year, he only missed 16 tackles the entire season. He's already at 5 after 2 games. So he's on pace to miss 43 tackles, which would be 27 more than he had all of last year. He had a 15.7% missed tackle rate last year. He's up to 35.7 this time around. I gave Frankie Luvu a yellow square after that Packers game, which means like I'm not saying you lost us the game. I'm not saying I want you on the bench, but what happened? Where are you, Frankie? You were a phenomenal player last year, but it's like now that the talent upgrades have occurred around him, and the Commanders still don't have the best defense in the NFL, not even close to it, but the defense is obviously better than it was last year. Right now, and this could change because we've only got 2 games, it's a small sample size, but right now, whereas some players are benefactors of rising tides lift all ships, right? You think about a quarterback and then you get him some better offensive linemen and you get him some better receivers, the quarterback's going to be better. That's just the way it goes. Right now, it looks like Frankie Luvu was capable of being a standout on a bad defense. As the talent is raised around him, I have seen Deron Payne and Javon Kinlaw make plays. I have seen Jacob Martin and Dorance Armstrong make plays. I've seen Trey Amos make plays. I've seen Bobby Wagner make some plays. I've saw Will Harris and Quan Martin make a lot of plays in that first game against the Giants. I have not seen Frankie Luvu improve at the rate of everyone else around him. And again, it's 2 games. I am not giving up on Frankie Luvu. But if we get a month into the season, which is still only 25% of the year, but if we are a month in and he's going at this rate where he's missing tackles, he's not getting players on the ground, he doesn't have a single sack, forced fumble recovery, PBU, stuff, or tackle for loss, if he's not making any of those big plays, I'm going to start to come to the conclusion that, okay, this is a great player on a bad team, but is he a standout on a championship team? No. And it hasn't happened yet, right? So nobody accused me of being a Frankie Luvu hater. I'm saying the way things are going right now, but things can change, right? I said the Green Bay Packers Super Bowl hype I said it was too early. I said they hadn't earned it yet. Well, all of a sudden they play 1 game against the Commanders. And I'm thinking to myself, holy smokes, Maybe these guys are Super Bowl contenders. Frankie Luvu could come out and have 2.5 sacks next week against Geno Smith. We know Geno loves to take some sacks back there. So things could change, but right now where we're at, it's not a good start to the season, and it does need to turn around very quickly for this defense to unlock its full potential. Talking about special teams here, Matt Gay. I was looking around the NFL this weekend, and I was thinking, man, kicking is just, it's almost an afterthought in this modern NFL. One of my buddies is an Eagles fan. I've mentioned him before on this channel. He was telling me the other day about how when Jake Elliott kicked a 61-yarder to help the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it was looked at as this incredible feat because nobody was kicking from 61. Now you look around, 61 is, dare I say, a bit standard in this NFL. Now we know that the Commanders' kicking issues are prevalent. They have been for the last couple of years, but let's actually fully digest the situation the Commanders find themselves in with Matt Gay. Now I want to tip my hat to Matt Gay because he said after that Packers game on Thursday, he said he takes responsibility for the loss and all the blame that is out there should be heaped onto his shoulders. I appreciate that. I like him being the grown-up in the room. It's not true. Fault for that game falls on Cliff Kingsbury, on Dan Quinn, on Jayden Daniels, on the offensive line, on Joe Witt Jr. It falls on a lot of players. I am not blaming Matt Gay. He's very low on the list of where I would blame players. I like the mentality. That's what I'm saying. I like that he's responsible and mature. With that being said, that doesn't change what he has done, or rather what he has not done this season. So he's currently 1 of 3 on his field goal attempts this year. All 3 of them were from 50 yards plus. So I get it that he's further away. He's not boosting his stats with 35-yard field goals. But with that being said, a 50-yard field goal in the modern NFL is supposed to be a chip shot. The range has basically decreased 10 feet. 50-yard field goal, that's the new 40-yard field goal. 60 is the new 50. So far this season, 13 players have attempted kicks from 50 plus. If you exclude Matt Gay, and we are only looking at those kicks from 50 to 59 yards, the league is 27 of 31, which is 87.1%. Matt Gay, 1 of 3, 33%. That season average of 33% on field goals, the only other player who was tied with that, nobody's worse, the only other player who was tied with that was Jake Moody, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers. They released him. So it shows you what other teams think about their kicking situations and what is and what isn't acceptable. And let me just say, again, going back to the modern NFL, if you on a kickoff, if your team kicks the ball into the end zone, it's a touchback. You now get the ball at the 35-yard line. It's not the 20, it's not the 25, it's now the 35-yard line. So you are about 15 to 20 yards away from being in field goal range. That's one solid pass. That's 1 first down, not even 2 first downs. If you get a touchback and you pick up 18 yards, that means the ball is on the opponent's 48-yard line. Did I say 18 yards? 47-yard line, excuse me. That means you are trying a 64-yard field goal, which you look around the league, a lot of teams, a lot of coaches are willing to let their players attempt those kicks. 64-yarder is nothing out of the ordinary. You look at Tyler Loop in Baltimore. You look at Little in Jacksonville. You look at Parker Romo. You look at Joey Sly. You look at, obviously, Brandon Aubrey. You go up and down the list. There are players who are capable of making those kicks, and it's not just 1 or 2 anymore. It's a lot of them. And right now, the Commanders, it's basically not an option for them to kick from beyond 50 yards. So while the Commanders are having to get inside the 33, other teams, if they get to the 45, they're like, yeah, we're comfortable kicking this. So that's a 12-yard difference. And if you assume that you are at a 12-yard disadvantage every single time you get the ball compared to your opponent, that stacks up over time. And that's how games that wins or draws, that's how they become losses. Those are where the big moments happen. So I don't know what options are available to the Commanders in the front office right now, because I'm not going to act like I have a great beat on all of the unsigned kickers roaming the streets right now. But I will say, if there's not a very quick turnaround from Matt Gay, he's not going to have a job much longer. So the pressure is firmly sitting on his shoulders. One final note before I get on out of here. I was looking at some mock drafts, and I'll be honest, I only look at mock drafts around this time of the year to see what the experts are thinking about the positions the teams are going to draft. I don't look at the players because teams are going to be picking in different spots and player stocks are going to rise and fall throughout the college football season. But what positions do they think need to be filled? So my favorite website for this stuff is Tankathon. I think they're awesome. I actually meant to include this in yesterday's video. I just forgot to mention it, but I did see that they had the Commanders picking 17th, drafting wide receiver Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. They've now updated that in the 24 hours since I put those notes together. They now have the Commanders picking 14th, which I got to say, I think it's an overreaction. That means they're probably below 500, but even still, they have them picking 14th and taking Jeremiah Love, who is a running back from Notre Dame. And the Draft Network, which is my final source here, they have the Commanders picking 22nd, taking Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Now, that would be majorly disappointing because the Commanders invested a second-round pick in Ben Sinnott just a year and a couple months ago. So that would be a sign that they have probably given up on Sinnott. Maybe you try to trade in. Maybe you're still comfortable with his development and you're trying to get even bigger. You couple the bolstered offensive line with now being able to go to 12, 13 personnel with Sinnott and Bates and Sadiq. But that's probably unlikely considering the style of offense you want to run with Jayden Daniels as your quarterback. But guys, that is going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed. Jump in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything I said. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. And as I always say, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.